Well, hello Zwifters and welcome to a very exciting morning here in Watopia. This is the very first team sprint race on Zwift, and thank you to Team 3R for inviting me to help cover this one. This is, well, it's an historic race. It's so exciting. I've literally woken up at 4:30 this morning just to be here with you to cover it and to give you an idea of what we're going to see today. I will jump over to the standings for this series. We're sitting here in the pens. If you've ever raced a WTRL team time trial, you sort of know what's going on here. So the teams are here, the banner's dropped, they've been given a start time delay, and so the captain is just counting down until they are ready to go. And we'll jump over and have a look at how it's going to plan out today. So on Zwiftaholics here, we are covering the B and D categories. So you'll see in the Bs, R3R Phoenix dominating this 3R Omnium series so far. This is stage 4 or 5. And then it gets crowded. We've got a logjam of teams in 2nd through to about 6th or 7th. And so we're going to try and follow them today. Team Cryogen, Flat Tire, Ink Alien, Glasgow, Try 1, the Swedish Zwifters, and the Z-Sun Underachievers. Z-Sunderachievers. It's a great name. I wasn't going to follow that many teams, but it could almost not say no to that one. So if we have a look over at the start delays, sort of get an idea of how this one's going to play out. So our teams, starting with R3R Phoenix, off at 2.5 minutes, and then every 30 seconds after that. So my hope here today, and this is all new, is that we'll be following on from R3R Phoenix with the next few teams, and then I'll jump across to the Ds. They are in another pen, so I do need Zwift Companion app to play ball here and let me jump around. So let's go back to the start pen. I am sitting in with the R3R team. Burden from R3R, who I think is part of that Phoenix B grade team, and they're just counting down now to get going. So what's going to happen here is the teams are going to roll out, sort of neutral rollout to the volcano. When they do pass under that lap banner, that is when the clock starts, and the name of the game is to get one of your teammates around that circuit as fast as possible, as here we go with the R3R Phoenix team. So unlike a WTRL team time trial, which counts the 4th rider over the line, where you really have to focus on that teamwork and make sure that you've got everyone working together, you can absolutely burn riders in this one because it's only the first wheel over the line. So it's going to be interesting to see how teams plan this one out. There are a few different tactics, a few different things you could do. For me, I'm kind of thinking that if it was up to me, I would be doing something like a sprint lead out you might see on a World Tour race, where you're just pumping a rider on the front. When that guy or girl is riding until they can't ride anymore, then they're peeling off when the speed drops and coming through. After that, it would be a very long lead out here, obviously a little over 4 kilometers around the volcano. So maybe that's not the best strategy, but I haven't tried it. I know a few of these teams have been giving this a go, trying some different things, trying to work out what works best. Do you roll as a blob all the way through? Do you rotate quick turns on the front? Do you burn off riders and then drop them? Do you save that one sprinter for right at the very end? I think that's probably pretty key, is making sure that you do have that kick right at the end. So, as I said, neutral rollout here. These teams just, when I say neutral rollout, wasn't expecting them to come to a complete stop. And it's the first unexpected thing of who knows how many unexpected things are going to happen in this one. So we might have had a little bit of an issue there with the 3R team. We'll pop back in with the Swedish Zwifters here. Let's just pop back over to that start list and see who we're in with. This looks like the Swedish Zwifters ride-on group. And so they're doing their rollout. Let's see what happens to our 3R team. Maybe we've lost a couple of riders here, they did look like they had a full squad of 6. I can only see 5 here, so maybe that's what's going on. They've just pulled up in the neutral zone and waiting for their 6th rider to see if they can get back on. So we do have the Swedish Swifties flat tire team. They're rolling out. Team Cryogen, also part of the B grade teams here today. They are sitting in the 2nd. Swedish Swifters flat tire team sitting in 3rd. And then we'll look a little bit further down the road. We should see the Inc. Glasgow Tri and the Swedish Swifters Ride On team. So two Swedish Zwifter teams out today. The teams ahead of us at the moment on the road, you can see from TFC, they were part of the A grade standings. So looks like R3 are back on deck. That's working out. We've managed to figure out whatever issue it was that was holding them up, which is good. But it is going to be the Cryogen team who are going to be the first ones through the banner. And so we'll see what sort of tactics they employ. In terms of following this one, it's not going to be one where we have results straight away. Be a little bit like watching the team time trials. So we'll have to kind of get a sense from the time gaps we see. Obviously they're not going to be perfect. And noting that 3R have had the issue that they've had. But it'll give us a sense of who is moving the quickest around this circuit. So we'll sit in, we'll have a look at the tactics that these teams employ, watch for some different ways of approaching this, and try and get an idea of who might have, the legs and the wits to get around this circuit the quickest time today. And I'll be jumping back through, trying to make sure that I don't get kicked out of this event, so that I can stay in and follow along with the action. And then, if technology permits, we'll jump in back with the D grade team. Well, the two teams competing over in the D grade to see what happens there. So, Swedish Swifters heading into the volcano now, and there is the banner. That's where things are going to drop. So, this is where things get interesting. You can see them sort of lining up here, trying to get that beautiful pace line formed. It does definitely look like we're going for a standard team time trial pace line format here with the Swedish Swifters, with a really clear order and lead out, and maybe we're protecting, with Cryogen. They hit the banner and they're off. We are 4 minutes 26 into the event for Cryogen. We'll sort of remember that, and that might give us some sort of benchmark as to what goes on here. So the coloured Tron bike is going to make it a little bit easy for us here to keep an eye on what's going on. And it looks like fast rolling turns on the front are the go for Team Cryogen. We can see our initial lead out rider there, rolling back, just dropping back quickly. So pretty slick looking team time trial. It was basically what's going on here at the moment, as Mike rolls to the front. We'll get a sense now of what these sort of turns are going to be. We do see things like 30-second, 1 minute turns often in the team time trials, but they're a lot longer at an event than this one. And let's say that we are onto our second rotation already. Mike's dropping to the back. He's just going to get a little bit of recovery in. So it looks like we are going to try and stick with most of the team here with Cryogen as Doug comes to the front. Pushing 7 watts a kilo, this is an all-out go. It's going to be a fast and furious event. Only a few minutes to compete on here. One lap of the volcano doesn't take long when you've got 6 guys and girls, because we do have some mixed teams in here. Pumping out the watts. Just going to stick back to the 3R team and see how they're going. So they're rolling in a nice little blob here. Not quite as lined up as our team from Cryogen. And I believe that other 3R rider at the front there was a dropped rider from one of the earlier teams. Looking back now to the Swedish Zwifters team SZ flat tyre. So again, similar tactics. We can see some big numbers at the front. Is this Larson pushing to the front and taking his turn, getting into the red numbers to make sure he gets into position. You want to know at all times who is that lead rider, where do I need to be if you're a rider following there, making sure that you are staying in the right kind of spot. Back with the Ink boys. Similar story here. So it seems like pretty conventional team time trial tactics so far are the go. Flick back up to Team Cryogen. And looks like they are starting to burn riders off. We are shelling riders, going to go with an approach of attrition here, leading out their main man to the finish. So we've got 3 riders left here. I think it's meant to be 3. We'll see whether Taylor. Yes, Taylor's popping some big watts now. Nearly 10 watts a kilo to get back on. So whoever's been leading out here for Cryogen is not playing around. They've managed to burn off all of their other riders. And here comes Taylor into the lead now and pushing 8 watts a kilo. Good luck to Haninen trying to hold on to this wheel. It looks like Taylor actually might have been set off here as our ITT man. So interesting strategy from Cryogen. Whether that was the intention to be down to 1 so early, I'm not sure. It's going to be interesting to see what the other teams do, whether they manage to stay together. But Taylor is all on his own. Pushing up now, he's going to take this sort of U-turn back into the volcano and push up to the banner. So let's jump back in quickly with 3R. Have a look at how they are doing. Looks like we've had a little bit of attrition here too, but not so much as Cryogen. So we've still got 4 riders pushing together for 3R. And the Swedish Zwifters again holding a really nice pace line, so definitely not the same level of riders being burnt off by the pace. Now let's try and get back in for the finish or something close to it with Taylor from Cryogen, looking like he might have felt the effects of the frenetic pace that this team put on, all on his own, trying to push to the banner here. Not pushing the same watts we saw earlier, which were through the roof, to be honest, so that's not surprising. And maybe they've gone a little bit hot here, Cryogen. So they went through 4.5 minutes in, coming through now. A little under 5 minutes in total for them, and you can see Taylor goes through the banner. We'll go back in with 3R. Looks like Burden is going to be the man with the job to get it over the line as quick as possible and set the time for 3R. They were nominally supposed to be 30 seconds ahead of the Cryogen team, but we saw them just take that little bit of a delay, a little bit of a wait to get set up in the neutral zone, so our time gaps are a little bit off. And we see a little bit of teamwork here. For Cryogen, for 3R, it's actually Mitcha, so Burden was leading out there for Mitcha to finish this off. He's pumping at 500 watts, accelerating now to the finish line. So nice work there from that team. Let's jump back in with the Swedish Zwifters and let's have a look at how they are approaching it. So down to 3 riders here. So it looks like most teams are taking this approach of shelling riders, starting in a conventional team time trial format, and then one by one burning riders off the front until they're out of legs. So who's it going to be from the Swedish Zwifters? Söderina, we saw yesterday racing in the series I was in. Looks like it is Larson, who we saw before, has the job of setting the time for the Swedish Zwifters. So nice work there from that team. Ink have kept it together much more than the other teams. So we've still got all 6 riders here from Ink. It's going to be fascinating to see the results here. See whether this was actually quicker than the strategy of burning riders. And so we're now sitting Marky off the front. He's the man with the watts, 900. Now this is the biggest finishing kick we've seen. Huge sprint from Marky to finish it off for Team Ink Aliens. And then back with Glasgow Tri Club. 4 riders out of their 6 left remaining. BG has the job, 9.7 watts per kilo. Pushing up to the finish line now, so this is something we're seeing consistently, is one tag sprinter going in the last 250 or 300 metres. There's some nice watts here from BG, up over 700. Beautiful finish. Back to our second Swedish Zwifting team. Here's a name I'm familiar with. Anderson from Swedish Zwift is one of the best sprinters you will see in B grade races. You don't want to see him in your B grade race, quite frankly, because he will absolutely torch you. So let's see what he's got left for a finishing kick coming around this corner. There's only a couple hundred meters to go. Not quite the patented sprint we've seen, so maybe this is more of an ITT effort for Anderson. And we sit in with the Zsun team. To edit from Zsun, another fantastic racer we've seen prominent in the series that have been raced on Zwift at the moment. Holding a nice TT effort to the line, 500 watts, sporting the disc wheel, very, very nice. Now dropping back, I think we've got a lot of dropped riders here. Let's see which teams we've got left. So the Ink Aliens look like they're our last team going. This is our last team from the B grade race now that we're sitting in with. Looks like Dagnote might be job done for him, and we'll sit in with these guys. I'm going to try my luck and see if we can get across to the D grade teams, and we'll see if we can catch any of that action. And looks like we can, so we are here in with the D grade. This is the herd team. And it looks like we've got Globe, a little bit of a gap on the rest of the D grade team, so maybe set off on his own now to set a time for these guys, holding a nice solid ITT effort here, up over 4 watts a kilo. Now, other team are from CLS, so it looks like they are heading on their path through the volcano at the moment. Let's just sit in with them. I might just quickly flick over to the standings and let's have a look. So we've got two teams here. I did only two teams, but keen to cover it because this is a fantastic battle. So Team CLS, the Delimited Diesels on 59 points, and the Herd of Slippery Seahorses, how's that for a name, on 58. So everything to play for here on this race for these two teams, Team CLS and Team Herd. So we might be able to get some sense here. These teams started 30 seconds apart in this pen. So we can see McDonald from CLS now leading things out for that team. Globe from Herd 49 seconds behind McDonald. So as I said, it actually looks like it is Antiskew from CLS. Apologies for butchering that name. That is a collection of letters that you will not see together in most of the names that I'm used to dealing with on a day-to-day basis. So apologies, I've got that wrong, I'm sure. It does look like a 55-second gap now between our lead rider from CLS and Globe of Herd, both of whom seem to have the job of representing their team. They've been put off the front to basically ITT this one home. So depending on how these teams went through that lead in, this may be a victory here for Team CLS. So coming up to the final stages of this lap now, looking at the heart rate here. On Anto, I'm going to call you Anto. Sorry, my friend, it's too early for me to try and get my head around that name and to look up the correct pronunciation. So if I watch you again, I'll get it right that time. But looking at this heart rate, 187, I saw 189 before. So the pace has clearly been red hot here. The CLS maybe points to the level of effort and this gap that we're seeing back to the Herd team now, 58 seconds. So Anto doing a brilliant effort here off the front and surging hard at the finish, 440 watts, 190 beats per minute. Amazing ITT effort. He's been almost on the front the entire time I've been watching. Looks like you're going to be setting a fantastic time and taking out the D grade race today. As he goes back, let's jump in with, oh, here we go. Looks like, I thought Globe was off on an ITT effort to set the time for the herd team, but we have managed to get a rider back in. So Dowdle now taking over duties and heading into the volcano to finish this one off and finish our broadcast off for today. So a short, sharp one. This has been a lot of fun though. Interesting seeing how the teams have approached this. We saw some, great classic paceline team time trialing early on, and then as the heat sort of came on, heading through this volcano circuit, we saw riders popped off by the pace, sort of burning up their legs and then getting out of the way, leaving it for those final sprinters to really carry it home. So well done to our teams. Hope you enjoyed testing out this new format. This is an exciting one. It's going to take some work to figure out the best tactics and the nuances of this format. As you see Dowdle coming across the line here. It certainly looked like our team from CLS had the pace there in the finish. If heart rate is anything to go by, CLS have definitely done the work to take out the D grade race today, and we'll have to wait for the results on the B grade one. So that's it from me today. Short and sharp racing from these teams. Keep an eye out on Zwift Races on Facebook and the Team 3R page. I'm sure we'll be seeing results here from Stage 4 of the Omnium, which does wrap up this weekend with another Zwift first. It's an elimination race. I would love to cover it. Unfortunately, I'm on family duties over the Easter weekend, so I'll be tuning in later to catch up on that one and hopefully seeing some more of these novel race formats. I think it's fantastic. Congratulations to the team at 3R for such an innovative series. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed having a look at how these teams approached the first ever team sprint on Zwift, and I will see you next time on Zwiftaholics.